You can't spell wind without win. What is up, GOAT World? It is me, your boy JDZ, and I'm back at you again with another GOAT format video. I really wanted to keep my top 10 series alive. I wanted to keep the GOAT format rated series alive, and today I'm going to be rating wind monsters, okay? Wind is by far and away, in my opinion, the very worst attribute in GOAT format. I don't know what happened when they were picking these monsters, who would be what, or when they were balancing this thing out, but wind monsters got the short end of the stick, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. Everyone knows in GOAT format wind monsters are trash, but your boy JD's got your back. I went ahead and dug through all of the refuse and the rubble to find what I feel to be the very best 10 wind monsters of our format, and I'm going to present them to you today. So with that, make sure you go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, get into the comment section, tell me if I got it right, and tell me who I left off the list. Without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on in and make it happen. Coming into you live and direct at number 10 for the win. You can't spell wind without win. I'm starting with Flying Kamakiri, number 1. He is the recruiter of this attribute, and I put it at number 10 because you can only be as good of a recruiter as to what you are able to recruit, and this card cannot recruit very much. It's only a few targets that this thing can get that are even worth the slightest bit of a damn, but that is just so few and far between. So I'm gonna put this thing in there. These recruiters are super iconic. This guy, I feel, gets very little love because of the fact that I just mentioned in GOAT format. I decided to slap him in there. Pickings are quite slim. Okay, moving on, we have number 9. Number 9, I put the Chaos Rider Gustav. Speaking of Flying Kamakiri targets, Chaos Rider Gustav is in fact a Flying Kamakiri target. If you didn't know, Chaos Rider Gustav, what this card says, it says remove 2 spells from your graveyard to boost this card's attack by 300. For each card banished by this effect at the end of your opponent's turn, it is reduced yet again. So it's basically like a Bazoo the Soul Eater, but instead for spell cards. I think it's kind of on theme. He's green, spells are green, he's wind, banishing spells. I think that's pretty cool. It kind of sees some play in like the Green Maju kind of decks, or in like Primal Seed kind of decks, or Chaos Greed kind of stuff. Chaos Rider Gustav can be played in those kind of things, those weird like DD borderline kind of decks. But other than that, like Fringe, Rogue, casual style play, this card really doesn't see much play. Maybe someone can work it in, but I still put this guy at number 9 on the wind. Okay, moving on to number 8. Number 8, I went ahead and put in the Armed Dragon level 7, not to be confused with the much superior Dark Armed Dragon that comes out much later. You know, they took the wind off, put dark on, and made him like 10 times better, but I digress. You know what I'm saying? This card is still super ugly and kind of bad, you know, kind of bad. I can't really see what they got going on here, but it's basically the boss monster of the wind variety. I can't think of another monster that is more bossier than the Armed Dragon level 7. Its effect says you can send 1 monster from your hand to the graveyard, destroy all monsters your opponent control with the attack less than or equal to the sent monster. So it's got like a kind of Raigeki style effect if you're discarding like a big monster. So I had to throw him in there because he is kind of iconic. It's still quite ugly and quite bad. Okay, moving on to number 7. At number 7, I went ahead and slapped Cyber Harpy Lady in here. Cyber Harpy Lady, I put that in there because maybe it's not my own personal thing, but I just enjoyed this card. I think this card looks pretty cool, and it probably could be played in some type of wind beatdown deck. I saw some duelists using this card in like some kind of wind aggro deck, Harpy deck. The Harpies, even though wind is already bad, the game went even further to make it even worse by adding like the Harpy rule. You can only have 3 Harpies in your deck, so all the Harpy ladies are considered one, to include this one. So that just kind of sucks to make it even worse, but it's got that 1800 body, 1300 defense. I think that's a groovy stat line, and I'm gonna put Harpy Lady, Cyber Harpy Lady is gonna come on in at the number 7 spot. Coming in at number 6, I went ahead and put the Luster Dragon. Okay, Luster Dragon, the vanilla 1900 1600 ultra rare from Magician's Force, I put at number 6. That just shows how terrible wind is, in my opinion, but I put it in there because this card I think can be played. It's got a nice bulky 1900 attack, 1600 defense. If you have some type of skill drain deck or skill drain beats or vanilla beats or something like that, it can come in and just do some damage. I mean, it's a hard card to kind of deal with if you're playing skill drain, or if you're playing some things that can support that type of strategy. But having a strong 1900, 1600 normal summon, I could just do it sometimes, and I think Luster Dragon is pretty good in that regard. As far as wind is concerned, not the best card, but still in terms of wind, this card is definitely number 6. All right, coming in at number 5. Okay, now we're getting to the top of the bottom of the barrel, the top tier of the bottom of the barrel. We're coming in at number 5. I have the 4-star Ladybug of Doom. Dun dun dun. The 4-star Ladybug of Doom. I think this card can be played. I really do. I could be off my rocker, and I usually am when I'm talking about these things. But I think the 4-star Ladybug of Doom can be played because if you notice in our metagame, there are so many 4 stars all over the place, spies all over the place. All of warrior decks are all 4 stars. Everyone's playing 4-star monsters. You flip this thing up, you can start plussing on your opponent and doing some stuff. Even though it is wind, even though it is a flip effect, it is kind of slow, no meaningful stats. I think the 4-star can be played. It really hasn't been played. Is still quite terrible, but in terms of wind, I think this card is the 5th best wind card, and I could be wrong. Let me know. Get in the comment section. Will you play 4-star Ladybug of Doom? Give it a shot and tell me what you think. Okay, moving on to the top 4. Number 4, I have none other than Fiend Skull Dragon. Okay, Fiend Skull Dragon coming in at number 4, the fusion monster, the purple wind monster. I'm going to represent that by this little one of his underlings, Cave Dragon. This is Fiend Skull Dragon, but Fiend Skull Dragon is a fusion monster. If you're playing control decks, you can use Metamorphosis to get access to your level 5s and bring out a Fiend Skull Dragon in a pinch, in the time that you need to. This thing cannot be targeted by traps. It can also negate all flip effect monsters, so sometimes you're playing against heavy flip decks, being Chaos Turbo and other decks that rely heavily on flip effect monsters. This card just completely negates them all outright without having to attack it or anything, just having that floodgate style Royal Command like effect, so that's really cool. Also, not being able to be targeted by Sakuretsu Armor, Phoenix Wing, Wind Blast, Regeki Break, any of that kind of stuff is also Ring of Destruction. Any of that stuff is kind of pretty neat too. I think this card, if you're playing a control decks, a lot of control players kind of relegate this guy and don't make him when they have opportunity to do so. But I think this card is pretty good as a win, especially for a win. This guy is definitely top 5 win material. All right, moving on. We are at the top 3 now. Number 3. Moving on to number 3. I have none other than number 4. Maybe I should have made this guy number 4. I really missed it. I really missed an opportunity to put this guy at number 4, but I put him at number 3. I put Sasuke Samurai number 4 at number 3. He is another flying Kamakiri target. He does have a really cool effect. The stat lines is pretty okay too. This guy can come out. If you can manage to get a couple of those coin tosses right, I think that's really cool. He has a Mystic Swordsman like effect if you can attack a set monster and get that coin toss right. It also presents an obstacle for your opponent to deal with, because chances are they're not going to come out and just want to attack this thing headlong and risk getting that 50-50 coin toss and then you send it to the graveyard. So this card is actually quite good. It saw some fringe play a while ago. Some duelists have been taking this card in their warrior decks and some in their control decks. I've seen people playing this card. It's not the worst card. It's still a wind monster, which kind of goes against a lot of the best decks in the game. So they're typically not going to try to cut down on their win cards. It forces people to do weird stuff, which can come up sometimes. So, or Sasuke Samurai number 4, I think is the 3rd best win card. Okay, going on to number 2. Number 2, I have the Spell Canceller. Spell Canceller, I think, is an underplayed card as well, especially like in the side decks. A lot of duelists used to take Spell Canceller in the side deck to kind of take out Reasoning Gate and take out some control type decks. A lot of strategies depend heavily on their spell cards. You can have a card that just negates them and doesn't allow them to be activated. I think that could be pretty cool. Maybe there's a way you can also make like a Spell Canceller deck, like a stun deck that uses Spell Canceller, and you can boost it with Blast with Chains and stuff and all that. I think that could be pretty neat. That could be a deck that could be played. But as of now, I just put this guy as number 2 because really there's not a lot going on in the win variety. So I'm gonna put Spell Canceller number 2 because this card does actually see some fringe play, especially in the side deck, and it has great value when it does come to the field. Okay, coming in at number 1, to no surprise, I'm going to put the Bald Menace Slate Warrior as the number 1 overall wind monster. I think this card has a 1900 attack stat line. He has a pretty decent effect, whereas if you can set this card, flip this card, get him up to 24, you can do some bulky damage to your opponent that way. I think this card is pretty cool, man. I love Slate Warrior when it came out, that rarity that it had. I just love looking at Slate Warrior. I think it's nice. I don't know why this card is a win. It probably didn't have to be a win. I don't know why it's a Fiend. I don't know what's going on with this card, but it does exist and it is a win. It's probably the best win card we got. I also think that turbo players can probably get away with using Slate Warrior a lot more, especially in the side decks coming in. If you set Slate Warrior and your opponent mind controls your Slate Warrior, then they have to give it back to you bulky, or at least give you the opportunity to flip that Slate Warrior. And I think that's a strategy that a lot of people don't even consider using. It is a flip effect. You know, it's 1900 and it's got 400 defense, but it is still a flip effect, so it will work with Night Assailant. It will, you know, work with mind control. Very cool, very cool, very cool. So this is my list. This is what I have up here. This is not Cave Dragon, okay? This is in fact Fiend Skull Dragon, but this is my top 10. And I said, like I said before, this is a very difficult list to do and things to make. I just wanted to keep this going because it's a lot of fun. I love looking at cards. I love talking about cards. I love hearing what you all have to say about talking about cards, because all of these cards in their own right are very iconic, and I just like to hear about them and see them and talk about them. So tell me what you guys think. Get into the comment section. Who did I miss? Who did I leave off? Who did I leave behind? And we'll keep it rocking. We're gonna do more top 10. Tell me who you want to see next. What attribute top 10 that you guys want to see, and I will make that happen for you. But that's all I have for now. Until the next time, shout out to all the real ones. Salute to the OGs. Peace.
This program was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.